So we're here with Vidit, and we are talking about pricing traps for design freelancers. Just for context, these are actually all based on real questions that I have received from design freelancers across seniority levels, and I've kind of condensed them into some of the common traps that we all fall into. So, with it, we're going to chat about these. The first one is that, this feeling that there is an industry standard for pricing, and to stay competitive, I need to match market rates. I personally have a very strong opinion on that. But what about you? What do you think?
So, how do you define the industry? Because I would say there are micro division, then segments, and all of that combined. If you compare yourself to a agency of 100 people, their pricing is different. If you compare yourself to someone right parallelly, like 3 people team or 2 people team, but then they're working with corporate clients, their pricing will be different. You're working with startups, so the slices of industry is so varied that you can't throw a wide net, be like, okay, this is what everyone charges, so I can charge. So I don't agree to that you can charge based on an industry standard. You have to be conscious of who you're competing against, that if a client is coming to you, then who are the other possible designers or studios that go to, and then you have to figure out that are you more expensive than them, not as much, what is the value you provide, what is the reputation or portfolio you have to prove something. All of that changes.
Yeah, and also as service providers, that's very hard to estimate, right? Because our prices are not out there. For example, when I know the first time I had to really do a strict pricing exercise was figuring out how much the book costs. But as with any product, it's listed on the marketplace. I can look at the category of books I want this to be compared to. I want people to think that, oh, this book is in the price range of ABC book. I can look at its price and I can price it like that. Design industry, I mean, nobody knows how much the other person is charging, and even that competition's pricing may not be consistent. I charge differently for maybe different clients for very different reasons. I'm guessing might be doing that. We'll come to that in different pricing traps. But it's hard to know what to benchmark yourself against, and the benchmark itself, if it existed, is so dynamic. It might be changing with every client that the competitor has. The other thing that I've thought about is that, we were talking about this right before the recording started, trust. That even if we were to say you and I are equal number of experience, equal number of years of experience, equal number of projects in portfolio, similar deliverables, the trust that a client might have with both of us for their own reasons might be very different. So, how do you factor for that? So, I actually agree with you that there is no industry standard. It's a noble pursuit to define one industry standard, but things like personality, the kind of trust you can invoke in a client, people pay money for all of those very intangible things as well, and you can't bracket it into one category.
Totally. And your identity as a studio is also defined by how you are placing yourself in the industry. Maybe you are the standard for someone else and you looking to someone else. So then it becomes like a loop that you're
Yeah.
following around. I can say that, okay, I'm a very chaotic designer. There can be designers who are very systematic. Should they be charging more than me or not? I don't know. I can say that chaos gives you more creative answers, but system gives you more reassurance. But clients can trust me because I'm more personal, but clients can also trust systems because that's more reliable. It's a you said, I said, who said kind of a game at that point. So you
So you and I
cannot.
are agreeing, no industry standards.
Yes.
No industry standards. Come fight us in the comments. Okay, the next trap. Now, this is also kind of a comparative thing, that forget industry standards, but you must match your own pricing to your client's region and budget. And for example, like there's this thing called price parity, that the same thing will,
Cost
I
more.
will charge an Indian client, for example, this much, and client from another country X, depending on what their currency is, and so on and so forth. What's your take on that?
Mixed feelings.
Yeah,
I'll tell
this
you
is
why.
all subjective. There are
Yeah.
no right answers,
Like
guys.
if I say you should charge international clients more because they can pay more, First, they'll come to you because they'll assume to be cheaper than their geography. So let's say there's a middle ground. You charge X, the client's region charges Y. So you choose between X and Y. Both of you win. But then people also that international clients are easier to work with. So then should you give them a discount because you can do more of them or faster of them? If you now get into value based pricing, then you're like, "Ki, I should charge lesser because it's easier to do them." So it comes down to what you can kind of command in a way. I can charge sometimes Indian clients more than I can charge international clients because they're at that scale. But they can also ask me, how much did you charge for this? Now I can't be like, okay, I'm charging you more because you're from a different country. So it comes down to a little bit of personal ethics also. If
But do
something
clients ever ask how much you charge someone else?
sometimes
Oh,
like they
wow.
have asked that, okay, so when a conversation starts they usually ask how much do you roughly charge. So instead of giving an exact number, I give them a range of what is the possible thing I work with, which is usually x into 2x, so like a range of sort. Then I will show them examples or clarify that a project like this was this pricing, a project like this was this pricing, so that they understand that I'm not just going to throw random numbers at them. There is a range and why I work in that range.
So I think that's about clients region, that clients from certain regions can pay more and less. But I think I feel that you shouldn't vary according to that. You should have some confidence in working out the pricing and the profits that you want for yourself. Otherwise, it's an endless confusion game. And that is true. The reason a lot of clients might be coming to you is because they're looking for something that's more affordable than their region. So that kind of just negates their entire pursuit. As long as you are satisfied, why not just stick to your own pricing and have let the client also benefit from that exchange of regions, right? The other thing is budget, that some clients have a very large budget. You might feel that, hey, this is a big client. Maybe there's a film production studio coming to you for a poster design versus a small mom and pop cafe coming to you for a poster design. Would you charge them differently?
Okay, I will flip the script. I
Hmm.
will say that let's say this big film studio comes to you. They know that their name on your portfolio adds value to you. They will bargain saying that you will get a lot of exposure, a lot of visibility, do it for free. But that for mom and pop
Oops.
shop, they're like, hey, this will literally make everything sell for us, please help us. So you can charge them a lot more because how critical it is going to be for them and no one else will do it maybe. Or they can't do the quality you do. So I can flip the script from that their business point of view. And this happens, right? Bigger companies actually use more leverage against smaller studios or designers, saying that you get my name. So if you try to adapt to their budget size, then you're kind of losing your value pool in a way, because now you don't have a fixed value. If someone else comes in, you're like, okay, I have to do it for cheaper for you, and a bigger killer, I'll do more. But then you won't want to do smaller projects because you will be kind of geared towards the bigger ones. So I,
And I think this also, I'm thinking as we speak, that this also makes it very confusing to gauge my own growth. I'm thinking, what if I was doing this? What if I was charging X to one person and maybe 5X to another person? But the nature of projects keeps changing all the time, and I don't know where my personal benchmark is. I don't know what my year on year growth is. I'm just kind of getting pulled in whatever direction depending on what clients are coming to me, right? So you're saying that let's not change the budget on a deliverable, but I think there was some more nuance to
there
this. So can you like
is.
recap that for me? Because we're not saying don't price the same deliverable differently, but then what is the factor based on which we can price the same poster differently?
Correct. So think of it this way: a counter argument people give is the responsibility or the stake behind the design. If a mom and pop shop's poster is not doing great, they can just change it, print it out, and it will be very transient. But a film poster is going to be very critical because that's setting the identity. So because there's more at stake, maybe you have to take more responsibility if things fall apart. So the cost of that security or that responsibility is something you can definitely add on. but then that also means you'll have to take responsibility for it. That if things don't work out, you can be like, okay, yes, I messed up.
So you might, I mean, by saying, yes, I messed up, it's rare that someone would go and return the fee that they were paid, right?
No, there can be two cases. You either return it in some portion, or you do extra work for like no charge to compensate for the mishap that happened.
Yeah.
And like I mentioned, I like to think of it as a range. So if I have a range of x to 3x or x to 2x, then I know that while the same deliverable I might do for x for a smaller brand, for a bigger one, maybe I can put it to x zero point 0.5 more,
1.5 times X. Yeah.
because it is still in my range, but I am gauging that okay, there will be more intensity here, because let's say there are more stakeholders to convince, more calls, more presentations, and all of that. So that is coming into your working hours, not technically deliverable. So you will have to adjust the pricing, but you can't just like a bigger client, I'll charge more, let me double x or triple x, because then the justification and your confidence also not there. I'm comfortable in this range. Even if you go lower or higher, I'm like, okay, I will manage it. There's no problem.
Yeah. So I think what's important to look at is the effort, the number of interactions, the number of revisions you're anticipating. Because sometimes, let's say a corporate might have a piece of work which technically is the same output, but they need it really quick and they genuinely need it quick. They're not just saying it for the sake of it. So there will be no feedback. And you can either charge higher because you feel that. You feel, hey, I'm putting in extra hours, or you can be like, hey, there's going to be no revision, they've given me a very clear brief, I just have to execute it and give it to them, so you might charge lower for that as well. Whereas someone else who's doing more exploratory work, you have to go into strategy, you have to go into a lot of conversations with the stakeholders, you need to do a lot of rounds of revisions and then arrive at that same thing. That, so it's the process, so we need to look at the process more than the budget, the region. And I think another point I want to bring up here is opportunity cost. You're from a BCom
That is
background
big.
and you understand it, but I think there should be a lesson on opportunity cost for all designers, because everyone's like, how much should I charge? X is charging this and Y is charging that, and my own rates fluctuate because sometimes I have a lot of work and I can't take it up. Sometimes I don't have any work, so I want to lower my prices. It all comes down to opportunity cost, right? So no budget, no region, no comparing to industry standards. It's your own opportunity cost that should determine what you charge.
True. But on your previous point, there's a counter argument. Let's say the client wants it fast and like no iterations. So technically, you're saving on explorations. But what about a rush fee?
Yeah,
Because
that's
they
what.
want something
Yeah.
fast, you can kind of charge higher, because there is a lot. The deliverable will still be delivered. Just because you're doing lesser exploration doesn't mean you can do poor work. You still have to do good
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
So everything can be flipped around in the script, because both sides will come with their own approaches. We're sitting as designers discussing about how much we should charge, and no matter which designer you show it to, they'll be like, oh, you could have charged more, clients don't pay. You go on the branding, so you go on the business side, client side, every client will be like, you paid a bit more, but it's okay, design is expensive
That
only.
is human tendency.
Right.
Yeah.
So we can't constantly try to push the envelope and be like, we should charge more and more. It is a lot of trade-offs. One could be immediate pricing. I'm actually in favor of doing it for lesser if you think it adds value to your project and portfolio. If I know I can make a good case study out of it, regardless of what I do, I will intentionally charge lesser, because then I know that I can use that leverage to the client as well. That hey, I'm doing it for a bit lesser, so give me a little bit of a break. Like, don't be so hyper or fidgety about it.
Can you ever expect those sort of accommodations from a
I
client
have,
side?
I
Have you
have.
ever asked clients to give you more leeway
Oh
in
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
process? Yeah.
And they have been very respectful about it.
Oh, that's amazing.
Like, let's say if my range is x to 2x, there are clients for whom I've done it at 0.5x, half my minimum rate. And I told them very clearly, and I clarified that okay, let's say I'm doing it for you for this much. I have a revenue target for myself, and to accommodate that, that means I would want to take a few more projects. That means I will do your project intensely, but maybe not in the same momentum. So if sometimes I need more time, more breaks, or get delays, you'll have to be understanding of it. And I want to clarify right now because then in the middle it gets messy. So unless you're okay with it taking a little bit more time, or being a little bit more open ended, then we can do it. And that's when the trust ties in.
So two factors that you said: rush fee, that someone wants it really fast and I will charge more, but also this portfolio discount. I'll call it a portfolio
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
discount.
yeah.
Okay, that I really want this project in my portfolio, so I'll do it at a discount. Both are still dependent on opportunity cost.
Opportunity cost is
If
everything.
you are sitting free and you're looking for projects, you will probably not charge a rush fee simply because your best alternative is no work.
No, your best
EBITDA.
alternative is bridge projects.
Oh, now we're getting into a different territory,
No,
unrelated
because
to
no,
pricing.
it is related to pricing. Because if we're calculating opportunity cost, it is also in relation to how it compounds in the future. The money you earn
Yeah.
right now is
Yeah.
not giving you returns later. The work you do right now is giving you
Yeah.
returns later.
Yeah. Okay, I want to clarify what we're saying. So, we talked about the book earlier, and the term bridge projects essentially refers to those projects that are personal projects, but they're done quite strategically. So, they help you move forward in life. So, I am at this position in life, I am stuck. There is a kind of project I can do very strategically and move forward in life, maybe jump into a whole new category of work, a whole new segment of work, and that's what we're describing as bridge projects. Okay, so back to you.
And
So
you
you're
can,
saying that don't give a discount, or just because you have a lot of bandwidth and you're looking for work, don't lower the fee for that reason. Lower it only if it's suiting your portfolio,
suiting your long term goals.
long term goals. So have a vision on,
Have
have,
your
keep
North
an eye
Star.
on the,
Have your North Star.
have your North Star.
So if you know where you're going to be headed, and bridge projects can actually be inculcated in existing projects. For example, let's say the client's budget is 0.5x, and I'm okay. Then I'll do 0.5x of the work instead of full. But I'll be like, you know what? The service you're demanding of me, I don't have enough examples of it in the portfolio. So that part I'll do as a free thing.
So I think to crack this pricing issue, I'm almost visualizing a framework in my head, and it probably exists out there somewhere. But I'll do a sketch of it and put it on the screen anyway. I'm imagining one axis as the portfolio worthiness of a project, and the other axis as the immediate payout, because you do need some funds in the
Yeah,
immediate
yeah, yeah, yeah. Money
times
is
as well.
big.
Yeah. So we can say that, like, if it's high on your portfolio worthiness and high on, good enough on money, obviously do it. If it's either, if it's high on portfolio but low on money, still do it. If it's high on money, low on portfolio worthiness, then
Then do it. Do not come put your entire bandwidth into it, but have it for the short term advantage, because doing that now means maybe in the next quarter or next project cycle, you have the capacity to do the higher worthiness for lesser budget because
yes,
you've accrued something beforehand. Again,
yes,
it's a long term game, right? If you see
yeah,
immediate value offerings,
yeah.
you're not going to be able to kind of take a stable decision.
Yeah. And then the last quadrant is low portfolio worthiness and low immediate income. So we don't do that.
Correct. And that quadrant is basically an example. If anything is coming there, bridge projects are obviously better because they will add value over time 100%.
Yeah. But this also assumes, and I want to say this for all the young designers out there, this also assumes that you're saying no to projects because you have some savings, some buffer to get your day to day expenses going. You're keeping your expenses low in that phase. You're using some of your savings for living life. And that is when you can afford to say no to those
I
projects,
will
right?
re-answer this then. So I was answering based on people of my experience level and
Yeah.
starting out like at this level of studio building and whatnot. But I had gone to California and had a direct conversation with the founder of Collins, and they're titans, legends, right? So I was having a conversation, and I'm like, I am a studio runner from India. I do decent work. Any advice in building? His advice is something that most other studio owners have also given me: say yes to everything. The first 2 to 3 years, say yes to everything, figure your stuff out, because that's when you realize which one is low portfolio worthiness and low cost worthiness.
Yeah, yeah.
You won't
Even
even
to
know
get
that.
that assessment. So, oh, yeah. So, we should make that distinction that the pricing practices for someone who's experienced with 6, 7 years of experience, a good portfolio, will be very different from someone who is just starting out. I mean, honestly, I think I was doing at some point, I would say 50 projects a year when I was really young. And these are small, small freelance projects, okay? One poster for this person, one poster for that person, a little logo, not even a full brand identity set, just a logo. Again, because I was self taught, I wasn't part of a studio, I was just learning and executing freelance. I did a whole lot of stuff. And I don't think those 100, 120 projects exist anywhere on the internet now. Probably some of the brands are still using it, but I have eliminated them from my portfolio or my digital footprint because that was my exploratory phase. But I did say yes to everything. I did every damn thing, and that has led me to understanding what my strengths are, and now I can work according to that quadrant that we have just created.
Correct. Like when I started the studio, I already had enough work and portfolio to directly work with clients like Sleepy Owl, Comet, all of them. So if that was the standard, then I can have these variances.
Yeah.
But before that, anything and everything, some random hot dog joint somewhere in Delhi, yes. My friend starting something, yes. My dad wants something for his poster for a puja thing, yes. Like,
Yes.
you figure it out because you also kind of understand what you like, what you don't like, what energizes you, what is value add in the future, and all of it.
Yeah, yeah. So I think keeping all of that exploration going and not getting stuck up because of pricing in the first few years, and then over time, kind of reflecting, talking to peers, getting mentorship, and refining your radar of what is portfolio worthiness, what pricing is. There is no ready made solution out there for all of these things.
Correct.
Okay, let's jump into pricing trap number three. If I know my hourly rate, I will always know that I'm charging the right amount. We both, okay, first things first, we both know कि client के सामने hourly rate नहीं रखना है. As a designer, I'm a consultant, I use hourly rate, but as a designer, when you're delivering on a scope of work, clearly you're not putting hourly rate. Principles are clear.
I actually give two options to certain clients.
Okay.
If the scope is too large, I give them a retainer rate. Retainer is basically hourly extrapolated into
Yeah.
monthly. Or I do a fixed scope thing. The fixed scope is assuming that I can possibly end it earlier or later, but I have leeway of time. Retainer is like make me do whatever you want to a limit, but I can do
To a limit.
to a
Yeah.
limit. But I am available based on the bandwidth I provide for you. Now, hourly can be helpful to find your compass at the start. That let's say you want to earn X amount a month. You like I am working 40 hours a week. That is 160 hours a month. I want this much salary, let's say, this is the hourly rate that's coming out. First, set a target for yourself realistically. If you were to apply for a job right now, what is something you could get? Try to shoot 10-20% higher because it's a free practice. After you've established that, you at least have something to know what you're doing. But don't use that as a client facing thing or even like a value going forward.
Yeah. The other, okay, so do you have an hourly rate in your mind based on which you calculate how much you want to charge for a certain project, or do you compare the current scope of work to something you've done in the past and add a little buffer to it?
More on the second, I do have like a monthly target that I wish to get. That I want this amount a month. If I'm doing 2-3 projects, what can I get out of it? And because I've done enough projects, I have the range in mind. So I know this project will be around this 3 months, 4 months, whatnot. I do try to push my pricing with every client and see what I can add value because as I do more, I have more case studies to prove value
Yeah.
with different answers. But it goes both ways. I see what I can deliver, but also what I have established as a standard for myself. The thing I can do is pushing the ceiling, how much I want to get. But my foundations of the weekly rate or hourly rate or monthly rate sets the baseline, knowing that anything below this now requires a much stronger consideration of opportunity cost. Like, is it actually that portfolio value adding that I should consider it lowering? Otherwise, I can't go lower than this base.
The other thing we have to be really good with, if we have some sort of hourly rate or even weekly rate, that, 1 week of work is supposed to be this much for me, only then I will meet my whatever target I have created mentally. One challenge that I see is that we as human beings are inherently bad at estimates.
Yeah, you will
We
always over.
underestimate, overestimate, and there are lots of different cognitive biases which we can talk about separately. But maybe I'll do a separate video on time estimation, because we as humans are so bad at it. So even if I know my hourly rate in advance and I say, okay, this project will take me 100 hours to do, 100 hours into rate equal amount, it's probably a wrong estimate that you've done, unless you have tracked your time on a similar project in the past and you have data to prove that this is the time that you actually take, and even then you add buffer plus minus. So
Hmm.
that is my other issue with hourly rate. Now I can charge hourly rate because I actually don't even do a retainer. I don't say, I you have 10 hours of my time. I am pretty flexible with my clients. I'm a consultant, so whatever
Hmm.
number of hours we work together, I'll bill you at the end. And thankfully, I work with people who I trust a lot and who trust me a lot. So, this whole transparency about pricing and transparency about did you really spend 10 hours on this has never happened. But have you ever been on a retainer with somebody, and has that awkwardness ever come up where they second guessed the amount of time that you have spent on some work?
Not really. I don't do retainers as much. Usually it becomes a project thing. Also because if you're very efficient, you're actually being harmed by your
Yeah.
hourly rate.
Yeah.
Because one, to compensate for your expertise, you will charge more hourly rate. And unless a client has experienced you and another designer, they cannot compare. And oftentimes you are usually the first person a client is designing with, unless they're a big brand that's worked with multiple people. So it is very tricky, because the better you get, you'd want to raise your prices, but then you can also do more work in the same hour, and then the client starts evaluating based on hour per work.
Yeah.
And creative process is not linear. uh,
Absolutely not.
I can, once the design system is cracked, I can make four versions of the design in 1 hour. But to crack that one system might have taken me 20 hours. Now you'll say I did four designs in 1 hour and one design in 20 hours. It's not a one is to one
Yeah.
comparison.
Yeah.
So having the client's trust, the process, all of that kind of tie-in, hourly is helpful when it is spec work, in the sense that one of things, make me a poster, make me an Instagram post. But for deeper projects where there is uncertainty, there is multiple explorations, it is not recommended.
Yeah. So I guess I also want to kind of bring it all together into what to do to come out of this pricing trap, that if I know my hourly rate, I'll always know that I'm charging the right amount. I think leaning more towards scope of work related rates is better, that reference your previous similar projects that you may have done. So reference those. Hourly rate is useful to know if you are actually going to track your time, collect that data, and then use that data to kind of inform your scope of work. That last time the brand identity took me 20 hours. I'm just using a rough number. Last time a brand identity took me 20 hours. I think my hourly rate in my own head is X. So 20X is going to be my price plus a little bit more for buffer for the next project. So that has to be an ongoing experiment, even with your hourly rate and the amount of hours that you put, because hourly rate is dependent on the hours. So yeah, that's, I think, leaning more towards scope of work, referencing previous scope of work is the
Like, to
way
summarize, I
out.
would say I like to have a price ceiling and a price roof.
Okay.
The price floor and the
Floor
price
and roof.
roof.
Yeah.
The floor is defined by my hourly rates. The roof is defined by how much I can charge for the scope. The
Hmm.
reason is that if you go purely scope based, clients also ask for itemized lists. So each thing, five icons is this much pricing,
Yeah.
one website page is this much pricing,
Yeah.
and then it almost becomes like a goods bargaining.
Yeah.
Ki for I'm getting four things, give one for free, or like one extra icon, please add. And when that happens, you devaluing yourself as a kind of creative provider and more like a factory who's like selling pieces of things. So when a client comes to me, my scope is broken down so that I give a list of scope, like these are things I'll complete, and I give a range that 4 to 5 of this and 3 to 4 of this, and I tell the client, if within this timeline I can do a few more things, I will do it. It doesn't matter if I made 5 icons, making 3 more icons is not changing my life.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if I get into itemized pricing, then you'll get evaluative key 1 icon this, 2 icon this. I'm telling you my expertise and time and scope cost this much. It's a cumulative amount. No, I will not give you a breakdown of everything independently. No, I'm not charging hourly.
And that is something you're able to say because of the seniority level that you're at.
Yes.
And because I know how nicely you talk to clients. I think in a separate podcast, we have talked like the way you're telling me this, man ki bhadas type of tone is not how you talk to
Yeah, yeah,
clients.
yeah,
You're
yeah.
very sensitive about their expectations, about where their business is. And I'm saying this on record because a lot of young people might feel कि हाँ विदित ने बोल दिया मैं भी बोलूंगी कि I will not give you anything extra. But yeah, we're constantly
I actually
differentiating.
say I'll give you extra. And I'm like, the
Huh.
reason I charge this is because if you're part of my work process,
Yeah.
I will always do more.
Yeah.
So the scope of work is just to kind of safeguard ourselves that if
Yes.
shit hits the fan and the worst thing happens, at least this is what we'll
Yeah.
get.
5 doesn't become 10, for example. 5 will at most become 6 or
Yeah,
7,
yeah.
maybe. Yeah.
For Witchcraft, 5 does become 10 because half my clients get, let's say, almost 50% of work extra for free because
But that's your prerogative to give that
correct, and that also happens after the project.
after
So a
the
project
project.
is finished.
That's something you do out of your own enthusiasm. Not
Exactly.
the client is not expecting you to do that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then if you were to itemize it, saying that, hey, I will do this anyway,
Yeah.
oh, I'm doing this in my case study, you get free work out of it. You can't be so specific about it because if then you're making it a transactional relationship, they will also see you as a transactional relation. They will not
Yeah.
see you as someone they can rely on.
Yeah, yeah. And I think, especially for freelancers, maybe some big design studios where there are 100 designers and a 10 people business development team, where business development team is separate from the creative people doing the work, maybe they can get into those negotiations as well. So I'm guessing that for freelancers, it's very important to focus on relationship building rather than nitpicking on the transactional nature of it, because you are the person who's going to be doing the creative work as well. If you start off on a good note, you're earning their trust early, you're also establishing your personality, your way of working, your way of talking. All of these things become even more important as a freelancer then.
The advantage of a freelancer is your limitation of bandwidth.
Yeah.
The reason is a studio will always, or like an agency will always try to get as many clients as they can book because that's more revenue. Even if a freelancer wants to, they can't. They'll have like a bandwidth cap. That means if you're kind of full in your slots, don't say no to clients still. Give them your time and help them figure their way out. You can tell them that, hey, I am occupied, I can't work with you for the next 3 months. But that doesn't mean that you reached out to me. That means you found me, you liked me, and you took the leap of talking. Your time is also worthwhile, man. Just
Yeah,
be there.
yeah. Showing that respect to a potential client is very important. Like the industry loves to kind of make fun of bad clients and all that. But honestly, I think it's all human interactions that we're looking at, and there's no absolute good or bad. So, yeah, if you're also making time to value, I mean, you're making the effort to value what the other person is bringing to the table, then that's the start of a good relationship. And whether you work immediately together or not, it's always nice to add value to someone's business and process, right?
Correct.
Okay, I think we've gone very far from the hourly rate, but I think we have covered it,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right? Okay, fourth, pricing trap. I think this is very linked to what we were just talking about. Pricing trap is that, price, and this is especially common now because a lot of people talk about your self confidence and self worth being linked to money. That pricing is all about self confidence. You get what you think you deserve. So if you increase your confidence, you will get paid more. Yeah.
In some cases, you can say Delulu is so Lulu. Like
Yeah.
it can help your self confidence and esteem. Uh, but confidence is not a replacement for craft.
Beautiful. That is
And
the one line I think answer, but please go deeper into it as well.
like, let's say I started my career through the advice of Christo, in a way, right? Like, he would teach business and design, and I come from a business background. I'm like, it makes sense. But what happened is that people got so focused on the business of design that I see a lot of young designers focusing on the presentation and showing how much they've done, when the output is very decent, not bad, but the show is more than the thing that they're doing. So you will be confident that, oh, I did these many hours of research and this is what I can do and this is my process and all of it. But that does not justify the price you can still charge. I can be very confident and cocky, doesn't mean the output is changing.
Yeah.
So your confidence has to be backed by craft. Now that is a subjective thing. You can say, I don't like their work, I like this guy's work and whatnot. But I have charged pricing when I was very insecure about it. Like, I looked at the number for 1 week before hitting send. Oh my god, can I send this? Do I deserve this? I still got it because my craft was talking for me. And then there are times when I have confidently charged an amount, the client was not able to pay it. My craft was backing it also, but they don't have it, so how
It's
will
their
they?
budget
Yeah, how
that
will they
came
have
into the
it?
picture. Yeah.
And the thing is, if you think that you deserve, you get what you deserve in terms of how I feel about it, then it also becomes the projection. If a client can't pay you, you think that, oh, they're not paying me what I deserve.
Yeah.
And that's when you have like poor relations. I have clients who come to me with 10% of the budget. I never make fun of them. I'm like, man, if I was in your shoe, I think I might have even be lesser. I come from a business background. It took me 5 years to explain to my dad why charging anything for a logo is worthwhile. He's like, एक picture बनाने का तुम पैसे क्यों ले रहे हो? Right. So because I know that mindset, I'm like, you having the courage to spend anything when you do not have any design exposure is already a big deal. And you can get good design done from anywhere. What I offer is something a lot more than just visual design, but that doesn't mean that without me your brand will not succeed. I hope it does.
Yeah.
I hope that 5 years later you're like, man, you gave me good advice. I became such a big business. Let's do something together. So do not make fun of or like devalue people because they are not able to afford you because you think you deserve something. You were also not able to charge that price sometime. So just because someone can't pay it doesn't mean they're not valuing you. There are clients who've come to me, great projects, but much lesser. And I literally tell them, if you met me 3 years ago, I would have taken this. I would have loved to because I could have worked in that budget. But now with the experience and stuff, I have increased and gotten a lot more value and I can give a lot more value. That doesn't mean what you're doing cannot be done. That doesn't mean that it's a bad fit, just different timing.
Yeah. So I think timing, the same client may not be the best fit for two different designers. I also think that there are two sides to this, and as personalities, some of us are underconfident and some of us are overconfident. And some of us might be a little bit more grounded. Okay, so let's say three personalities. You might be someone who's underconfident about charging. You might be a little more grounded because of experience, because you have people around you who are talking about pricing. So you have slight like confidence in yourself, or maybe your clients have been saying yes to your pricing. And then there are people who are overconfident. They are the kind of people who would have this pricing trap that it's all about self confidence. Delulu is the Silulu kind of a thing. Yeah. The grounded approach is that your craft needs to speak. Confidence is the secondary layer to having the conversation about pricing. For those who are underconfident, I also kind of want to bring that into the picture that, again, we have heard, for example, your dad saying कि इसके लिए कुछ भी क्यों charge कर रहे हो, इसमें क्या बड़ी बात है. But there is strategy and there is all that. How do you explain it to people? Then a lot of times, there is that myth of this story of the starving artist, that creative work must be done for the passion, and if you're charging money, then you're sullying the passion on it. So like there's that side of things as well. So people feel that I can't charge a lot because I'm supposed to do this for the passion. It all kind of depends on the environment that you're in. If you're getting that voice, you're getting an echo of that opinion again and again, that creative work is not worth a lot of money, then you feel shy about charging. Then you might have very good work, but you might charge less. And less is also subjective. If it is enough for your life and enough for the kind of lifestyle you want to have, there is no problem with less. It all depends on what you need and want in life. If you're overconfident, yeah, don't get cocky. What was that line that you said? That
Confidence is not a replacement for craft.
yes. So for those people who are overconfident, this is the line that they need to listen to be a little bit more humble.
A very simple way to judge it is, if you're usually saying that the client doesn't understand you, all of them don't know what they're talking about, probably relook at yourself. You know, the relationship advice, if all your exes were a problem, then maybe you should look
You,
into yourself.
yeah.
So most of my clients have been great. Like maybe let's say I have one client problem a year at max, and that is also because the expectations did not match up, or there is something in the process where one of us got cold feet and then both of us got kind of paranoid about it. But usually I have only good things to say about my client. So if you only have poor things to say about it, that also means that one, either you're overcommitting or your confidence is not backing up. So you're committing or doing too much. Oh, I can do this for you. I can do this for you. But then the client is not feeling that, hey, I don't think you've been able to do that.
Yeah. So you have to take a hard look at what your clients are saying, what their experience has been working with you, and what you are really able to deliver. So sometimes getting an external perspective, an unbiased external perspective on that, can be very helpful and very grounding, and some understanding of how business works. I think for designers to understand how their clients, 1% of how their client's business works is essential. You can't go in thinking that I'm just going to do a, and for you this might be very obvious, maybe you've not thought about it because you come from that commerce background, right? So for you it comes naturally to think about that.
I literally tell my clients
Huh.
that this thing I'm spending 1 month on, 5% of your customers max will look at it to find it interesting. I love doing this, but I know this part is more for my personal satisfaction, that hey, we've done something cool. The major value add has already been added through the big pictures that we've painted. I design knowing that a lot of people will not care, because I've been surrounded by people who don't care about it. When you point out like, oh yeah, that's nice, but why will I pay so much for this small thing? And we didn't pay for this small thing. This was something that came naturally with the entire ecosystem of the work I'm doing. So if you've only been in the designer bubble, you will always overvalue the things you're doing and like, oh, we're creating something from scratch, and that's great. But maybe try doing a business. If you're doing your design,
Exactly.
make it a postcard, sell it.
Yeah.
Then you'll realize that okay,
Yeah.
I have to bargain with the shipping guy. Hey, shipping to charge karna padega, like how will I get my margin, then whatnot. And then you realize that how annoyed you feel by other vendors. You are the other vendor.
Oh my God. So let's add one more thing to that equation, that confidence is not a replacement for craft and impact. So sometimes we can get, I think that's the other flip side. We had a separate conversation about self learning, not having gone to design school. The flip side is that if you're only absorbed in the world of design, you don't realize the impact of design on the business side of things. So actually confidence is not a replacement for craft and impact. What is the impact of your craft should determine the pricing and all of those things, which is hard. I agree, it is very hard. Probably you and I have gotten here to a basic understanding of it with a decade of experience minimum. But it is hard for young people to understand, but you have to be cognizant that yes, there is something you don't understand. Don't assume that you know everything about how branding projects should run or web design projects should run till the time you can confidently assess the impact of the work that you are doing for a business.
I'll tell you one small anecdote, right? Something I tell my clients at the start to reassure them. There's a lot of common problem that, oh, client came, said his wife likes pink, so we want pink in the design. I acknowledge that at the start of the project. I'm like, hey, if you come and tell me your wife wants pink, I will give you pink. It is your business. You're paying me money. You want a pink Ferrari? Get your pink Ferrari. Who cares? What I care about is the system I'm building. I don't mind pink, all colors are pretty. But if I'm saying that if you
All
do,
colors are pretty. Yes.
like, if I am designing for this ambience and this personality and this kind of a person should buy you, and these are the places I'm going to design for, then let's say I will give you three colors. One needs to be dominant, one needs to be small. The dominant needs to be a slightly lighter shade. I was giving you contrasting colors. You said, I'll give an example, right? I was choosing blue and orange. They're like, no, I like pink. I'll give you pink, I'll adjust the other color so it works. But my system should not break down. I'm like,
Yeah.
this is the system I'm giving you. If you like this color, sure, man, your business, your brand, we'll make it work in the long term. If things work out, people backdate the success ki, oh, everyone was doing orange, they did pink, what a bold move. But at the start, the designer was complaining ki, hey, why am I doing pink?
Yeah. And when we talk about joy so much, that I will choose projects based on what gives me joy, with what gives me satisfaction. If there's a founder run business and 5% of the weightage is given to what gives them joy, why not actually? Why? Yeah, I mean, I,
if
I
your
actually never thought about this
if your design
earlier.
breaks apart because you're changing one color that the client wants, then maybe you should relook at the design you're building.
Yeah.
If it is so fragile, then communicate that at the start. If I make, like, let's say, with, again, I'll use neon as an example. I told them very clearly, the entire brand is being built on a color. Are you confident wearing a neon shirt into a investor board meeting? They're like, yeah. I'm like, then we'll go ahead with it. I will not force it on you because you have to live with the color. I'll give you and leave. Then I'll complain 3 months later, oh, they're not following what I've given them.
Yeah. Great. I think like joy for the founder is also so important, right? Okay, last pricing trap. That it's unprofessional or awkward to ask other designers how much they charge.
This is again tricky because not just designers, asking anyone how much they earn or how much they're doing a turnover or how much they charge is a tricky space, because we are evaluative creatures in a way. We
We're
always
sensitive, we take things personally.
egotistical that, oh, am I higher, superior? There's a constant race that we pit against, so it's not a problem. I also do that. But the reason it's awkward is because first we value each other based on skill. Oh, do I like his work, do I not like their work? Now let's say I meet you, I'm like, oh, I don't like your work as much. I ask you about your price, you're earning more than me. I'm like, what is happening? Industry is a lie. I don't think, what can I do? Oh, he has contacts, he has connections. Now you're just going into a spiral that's not going to help anyone. So it is tricky to ask someone the price because a lot of thing goes into the picture. But how will it be a reflection or of help in the grand scheme also? I know one man studios who are charging much less than me. I know one man studios who are charging more than me. I know full, like 5-10 people studios who are charging less than me. I know full studios who are charging way more than me. Now if I ask all of them, I will not never look down and be like, oh yeah, I'm charging more than them, so happy. I'll always look at the people earning more and be like, oh, I wish I could do more. But after 3 years of this personal brand building and studio building, I realized the sweet spot I have. While I am earning more than some and less than others, I have more pressure than the other ones, but also more leeway than the bigger ones. So you can ask once you build a rapport with them and have like a humanistic connection first, that hey, I like you as a person, I know what you are doing and why you're doing it. Maybe you're earning way more and I'm like, wow man, how did you do that? Tell me, I also want to do that. Or they might be earning less and then you come in like, bro, you can do this, you can charge this much. So
Yeah.
if you do not have that clarity in your head, key, irrespective of the answer, what you react is important. And this is something I tell my friends earlier, that if you are asking a question, then you need to have the capacity to bear the answer, because that is when the other person feels free enough to share the answer properly without hesitation. So irrespective, the answer could be very high, very low, or same, you should have been okay with the answer. So if you're going assuming, oh, I kitna charge karta, I hope it's lesser, if you're going with that,
Or I hope it's more so that I can ask, how can you charge so much more? Teach me the tactics for it.
correct, if that is the agenda, then the other person will also feel like, hey, I'm being evaluated. So that is the problem with asking pricing, not asking pricing, that pricing becomes evaluative. not
Yeah,
exploratory
yeah,
or helpful.
yeah. Pricing is just a number, right? And that number also keeps changing. But for me, in this pricing trap, there were actually two things that stood out. So the first thing you said, that first ask how is it going to be helpful to you before even thinking about asking. Second thing, which we actually spoke about off camera earlier, is be open to sharing before asking someone else. Can you go up to someone and instead of just asking, hey, by the way, how much do you earn? Can you say, hey, listen, I'm currently charging this much for a project. Do you think you can like share what you would be charging for such a project? And then I can kind like be open to sharing. Because yes, we are very, like pricing and money inherently is a very vulnerable thing to talk about. So, even outside of the design industry, do you very often sit with friends, at least not in my circle, not in the creative circle, where people are very sensitive about a lot of things and they're actually talking about money is kind of, oh, she just keeps thinking about money, that sort of a thing. It's not considered very nice, but it's actually very important professionally. So, one is, are you open to sharing before asking? And the second thing is, who are the other designers that you are talking to? You know, let's take two examples. Let's say you are someone I've just met and I really admire your work, but I have a slight competitiveness with you. With that slight competitiveness in mind, if I ask you how much you are charging, I will inherently just do that for the sake of comparing myself. Oh, to feel good or to feel
Damn,
irritated.
yeah.
And if I feel irritated, I will allocate some reason as to why you must be able to charge more. उसके लाइफ में ऐसा हुआ होगा इसलिए वो चार्ज कर रहा है.
I have done that.
Not because his craft and impact is more, but because of so and so and so reason. But if I ask, let's say that now, like after a few meetings, you and I are good friends, we don't feel competitive with each other, and we feel that we can share openly. I will be, the dynamic has shifted, right? So I would be much more comfortable talking exact numbers with you from the point of view of getting advice, sharing advice, just feeling a sort of camaraderie, especially for freelancers, like we're so isolated. Having a conversation about how much you charge is like one of the most intimate professional conversations you can have. So I think it really depends on who the other designers are that you are asking, right? So yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I agree.
On that note, I think we have answered, or rather, we have discussed all the pricing traps and we have arrived at the answer that there is no right answer. It's the principles which are very, very important to understand. But thanks, Vidit, for having this conversation and
Anytime.
all the best to all of you. Bye.
Bye bye. Woohoo! Let go!
I will use those in bloopers. Okay, cool.